Hello, welcome to Pest Perspectives, episode 49. We are back. There wasn't a podcast last week because the guest, I don't know what happened. Actually, I don't know what happened to the guest. So if any of you know David Bird, ask him, because I have no idea. He was all booked in. I've not heard a thing since, but it doesn't matter anyway. He's probably busy. It's life happens. If you never watched Pest Perspective, it's a podcast that's aimed to educate and maybe entertain. It's for people within the pest management industry. It's quite an extensive field. If you're in the UK, you can earn the CPD from all these podcasts on all of the CPD providers. This year for Basis Prompt, please give me a chance because I haven't sorted them out yet. I've actually got to email them because my CPD organiser account is not working. So if you do use the British Pest Register, you can just go on and use the code that I'll give you at the end of the show, and that you'll get your CPD. If you want last year's podcast, you have to do a little quiz and go to the CPD training area. It's all going to be in there from now on. But this year's is just the codes for this year. So I've been working on that. It's took me quite a while. So I'm at number 40 on the quizzes. I've just got 30. I've got about 9 or 7 or 8 to do. It's took a long time. But this week we have a guest on who I met on LinkedIn a while ago. We have Dan Traynor. Is that how you say it?
That's it, yeah, that's the one.
I wonder if it was Dan Traynor, but I'm going to say this, it's going to be wrong. It's going to be right. It's going to be said a different way. It is.
No, you got it right first time.
Oh, that's good. The pressure's off now then. It is. So how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Sean. Thanks for inviting me on.
That's good to hear. Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, because I believe it or not, the guest I had booked for this week actually couldn't make it. So right. I was like, who can I get on? I was like, Dan. But she was upon, she was, it was Lulu. I'll get her on eventually. She was going to the Arsenal play in Milan. So fair enough reason it is. But yeah, so do you want to explain who you are, basically, as in what you do first?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a chartered accountant by trade. I've been doing this 20 years or so, or almost 20 years now. Yeah. Started off in practice. I was a client accountant working with small businesses before moving into kind of more corporate and strategic roles. And now I operate as a what we call a fractional CFO, so providing kind of CFO level support, but to small businesses.
That's a great description. So, how did you actually get into the pest control side? You don't have to mention companies you work for, just like how you got into this industry as such. Because you said you are an accountant. You are.
Yes. So I think, it was totally by chance, to be honest. But the kind of short version of the story is, around about the time of the pandemic starting, I think it opened everyone's eyes a lot to how kind of vulnerable everyone was to external factors and things beyond our control. Totally reliant on the supply chain. A lot of my clients at the time were construction, retail, hospitality, basically everyone who had to close and stop trading.
Yeah.
So I was looking for really, and I hate the term future-proof, but that's more or less what it is. I was looking for a kind of an industry that was, could withstand these kind of things. Something that kind of, interested me as well. So I looked at a lot of kind of online creators and e-commerce and software stuff, and nothing really that interested me too much or that I felt I could add a lot of value to it. And then by pure chance one day, I ended up speaking to a guy who'd just sold a pest control business, and he was looking for a CFO on a short-term basis, and I was looking for a client in a new industry, and it kind of, it was a good match really. And it was kind of like, light bulb when, pest control. Wow, I never thought of that. That's the one. That's the industry I've been looking for.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, at the start of that pandemic, we weren't exactly known as, I hated that word by the end of it all, key workers. We weren't actually, when it first came out, we weren't fully recognised as that. But we were in the end. You are right. We are technically, if any disasters were to happen, we're still needed. We are,
yeah, absolutely.
In general, because I know, so obviously I know a lot of the big firms got hit because a lot of them they all on pay monthly, aren't they? I think most businesses just shut down their direct debits.
They did, yeah. It happened to me as well.
Is what happened. I mean, you can take people to court and whatnot. Is it really going to? Are you really going to get all that money back? It's doubtful, Especially at that level, though, when you've got hundreds of companies, it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, my client base wasn't that big, really, but I think it was panic stations for everyone, wasn't it? First thing you need to do is preserve your money, and the first step towards doing that is cancelling everything going out, and then kind of weathering the storm.
Oh, it definitely is. It's definitely true. It is. In general, the reason I got you on this podcast this week is because I've been getting a lot of requests for somebody who understands more of the businessy side of like pest control, because admittedly, we're not the best at running businesses, as in how to be efficient, how to run, a plan of action. And I'm not, some of them might be great. I'm just saying in general, a lot of us are good at the trade, but not good at the pest controls, not good at the business side as such as being like other businesses would be. It's like, I've just gone to Think Rutland scheme where they help local businesses funded by the council and the government, and it's funded somehow by the council and someone else. I don't know if it's the government or not. And I went for a sales forecasting seminar day, and that was really eye-opening because it says that basically you need to be sales forecasting all the time, even if you don't think you should be. It is vital to your business, because if you need a business plan, you have to have a sales forecast. Or say you go for a loan or something to buy extra kit, you need a sales forecast and all these plans. And I've never done any of that stuff. And there was people in the room, mate, that was on £2 or £3 million revenue, and they'd never done a sales forecast, but they were going to implement it, and they were making good money. But everyone was there just to learn. And don't get me wrong, I haven't done the forecast yet. I've got loads of bits. It's little baby steps it is to get through a lot of this. But I have been asked by a lot of people to try and get someone that understands the businessy side of pest control, or a little guide or little tips of what you could do to try and help that from that perspective on Pest Perspectives.
Yeah. And you know what, you'd be surprised that I work with businesses, and sometimes really big businesses, and they're exactly the same as what you just described. It's
what, even big ones?
Really big ones. I've got businesses that I'm working with in the last 12 months, and they're absolutely massive with thousands of employees, and they still don't do things as well as they could.
Oh, okay.
It's
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's crazy, really, when you see it. But I suppose it's like what you just said a minute ago. People start a business because they've learned a trade, they've got really good at it, decide to go on their own, and then all of a sudden you're a business owner with, you can't just think about the trade and going to the site and doing the job. You've got to come back and do the finance bit, you've got to do the HR bit, you've got to do all this other stuff, and a lot of people aren't prepared for it. So it's it's no surprise really that some people kind of aren't familiar with this type of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had a few guests that actually say, can you get like Matt O'Donnell from IX5 in Northampton? You're not far from me. And he actually said, if you could get someone on that's business related, that'd be great. Because we don't get enough. It's all good and well that all pest control shows should be about pest control seminars. but he says a little bit of business could be mixed into these. He says because it is what the industry lacks a lot in. It is to an extent.
Yeah.
It is. It is. But have you got any tips for people as such as to what they could? I'm not asking you to reveal your whole book you've made, just like
Okay, yeah.
a little guide without baffling the people with all the big names. You know.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about the book. It's fine, really. It's so the book itself is really designed for giving people this information. You know, what you just said is missing from a lot of people. For some reason, I don't know why that is, but pest control as well seems to be something that's completely overlooked by people in my industry, you know, in my world, with accountants, financial advisors, whatever it may be. There doesn't seem to be anyone specifically for, certainly not in the UK anyway, for this industry. You look at any other.
You found a niche there. That's what you're supposed to do.
Maybe it is, but it's kind of baffling, really, when you think about how big the industry is and how vital it is. And any other industry you look in, construction, whatever it may be, could be retail, anything else. There's books on Amazon to tell people how to do it. There's podcasts, there's YouTube videos, but there's no one really talking to pest controllers about this.
You are right. I mean, literally, the only other there's not many pest control books. There's one for America I've read, but that's literally on how to sell. That's not on the business side. But there isn't really any pest control books on the actual business. It's just a normal business book, usually.
No, there's not, like you say, plenty of this, how to sell, how to grow, how to build one, how to do this, that, and the other, what materials to use and how to structure this, that, and the other, but nothing really about teaching a business owner how to, manage the numbers and use the numbers to grow and develop and, build a successful business.
Yeah. So you want to talk about it?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, the book itself is broken into 3 main sections. We've got one that focuses on planning, how to take your business ideas, your ambitions and your goals and turn that into a plan that you can execute in your business. The second section is all about visibility and essentially how to measure yourself against that plan, how to spot problems very quickly, how to identify opportunities in enough time that you can capitalize on them through good reporting that actually tells a story rather than just gives you kind of walls of numbers. And then finally, the third bit is all about when you're getting ready to sell the business and when you're ready to move on and what you can start doing now in order to make your business more valuable and more attractive to any particular buyer.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point because in the UK, there's been this buying frenzy recently. I don't know what's caused it. American companies and big, equity companies, they're all looking to buy companies up there. I don't know there must be a lot of money in it, obviously, on a high-end scale.
Well, I think, the thing is with pest control, and again, this is kind of what attracted me to it. The problem you solve is never going to go away, ever. Yeah. It's only going to get bigger and worse, and there's going to be more demand for your services as we, develop areas and the population increases and things like that. But when you think about, pest control, it's a recurring revenue. Yeah. You're a legal requirement for a lot of other industries. They have to have you for certain, to get the health certificates and things like that. So it's really something that, a buyer, an investor, even an outside investor can, they can see a good return on this straight away. And then you've got these big companies, the big players, who their big, their main growth strategy is to acquire smaller businesses, because it's much easier to buy your business than it is to put, a salesperson in your town and try and get market share over the next, 6 months to 3 years. It's, I just make you an offer and buy your business. It makes more sense.
We even get emails asking. Don't always email back. Sorry, not interested.
Yeah.
Really, not. I'm in this for the long game. Maybe, when I retire, But even then, the idea is I want to pass it over to my son. Hopefully, it's still going by then. Hopefully. But yeah, I understand why people want to jump in, because I'm hearing numbers of millions to billions and all sorts got mentioned in value. I would say though it's big. I would say pest control is probably bigger in America, because obviously
Yeah,
you've got
it is.
residentials. It's big in residential as well, isn't it? It's still big here. I'd just say I reckon the market's worth more in America. I do.
It is worth more in America, but like you said, it's because they have a different climate, they have different pests, they
do.
They have even different areas of the country. There's different things going on, so it's definitely bigger elsewhere, but it's still a massive industry in the UK. And when you think about it, you've got probably. I mean, we did some research a few years ago, which probably a bit out of date now, but we estimated around about 35 to 40% of the market was the top 10 in the industry. And that then meant that the bottom 2/3 was it's businesses like yours. It's all SMEs controlling, well, not controlling, but they've got 2/3 of the market. Below the top 10.
Yeah, I can believe that stat's right. I can. But no, it's with business. It's more. Well, what I've learned, obviously, you got to create a plan. Set like, what do you think? If someone wasn't doing their business properly, what things could you tell them to do today that they could look at implementing?
Well, I would say first of all, start with a plan. So, a lot of the typically what I see when I work with businesses and they show me the business plan, more often than not, people are starting too late. If you think about a financial year, most people start usually too late. They leave it too late to start. As an example, 2 or 3 weeks ago, you saw on LinkedIn, or I did anyway, that people are in the office and they're doing the plan for 2026, and it's amazing, all fired up, and it's brilliant. But really, you're too late. It should be, I think, maybe at least 2 to 3 months before your year end. You need to know what you're going to be doing next year, because implementing stuff and getting ready for it takes time. If you're going to have a successful year, you need to take a big run up. And something as simple as perhaps putting a new system in to do, I don't know, automate certain things. You've got to find it, you've got to move it over, you've got to get your data in, you've got to learn how to use it, you've got to fix the problems. If you start doing that in January, it's going to be April before you see the benefit. So
that is true. I've been looking at more and more of this stuff, and it's like there's endless things. It's like, but I'm enjoying the learning process of it. I am.
Yeah, it's great. When you start learning about this stuff, you start, you get more interested in. Then you start learning more, and you get more interested in. It's great. It's a great process to follow.
So what you mean there? So say if you want to launch like a new service, you should have a plan of strategy on how you're going to do the service, how it's going to look, how it's going to be priced, how you're going to implement it, everything, basically.
Everything. Yeah, you need to think about all the different variables that go into it, the resources that you need, the money that's going to, you have to fund it with, tie everything back to cash, which is always important, and then give yourself enough time and make sure like you say, you plan it properly and you can execute it as well. Because a lot of the ones that I see, let's say a business, it's a very vague business plan. You say, okay, I'm going to grow 10% next year. That's the plan, but there's no real plan on how to do that. And they don't a lot of people don't consider the kind of wider picture. So if you grow by 10%, you've got 10% more work. So can you deliver it? Do you need more staff? In which case, when do you need to hire them? Can you afford to hire them before you grow? Do you have to put strain on the existing staff while you're growing without this new person? There's a whole bunch of things that you need to think about when you're making a plan. It's not just the higher level stuff. It's really getting into the detail on it.
No, it is true, because the minute I was, you get this for the scheme, the thing I learned was, he says, what's your 12-month plan? And what's your 5-year plan? He's like,
5-year plan.
How do you want your life to be in 5 years? I said, I don't know what you mean. How much would you like to earn in a year or take home? Would you like to move away from the business and be less out in the field and think? all these variants. I was like, I never thought of any of this. And these are the kind of things people won't even think about that are listening now. They won't. But it's all that there is also part of a plan, isn't it? As well, it's
Well, you need to start with the end in mind. You need to think, as you just said, where do I want to be? What's my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan? Work that back until you figure out what you need to do in year 1 that moves you closer to where you need to be in year 2, and move that forward, and then work that all the way back until you get to the point where you know what you need to do tomorrow to start ticking things off the list.
Yeah, it's definitely good advice. Thanks to my mate VJ for watching on YouTube. But yeah, there's a few people watching, I can see. But no, it's a thing I've been looking at, the plans. But you need to plan more, people, what you want to do. I'm not saying what you obviously know what my business growth grant's about. I don't want to reveal it to everyone yet. But I've recently applied for a grant and been successful and can introduce a new service at some point this year. And I'm working on a plan on how to implement it and everything. And it's going well. My good friend ChatGPT is giving advice too, as well, as we all use. They can give you different ideas you probably didn't think of as well. Not always right, though. You can't go 100%, but they have a good idea to do. So with that, is there any other advice you want to give apart from the planning?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, really, what you need to once you've done the plan, you need to break your kind of goals down into gaps. This is something I do quite a bit with clients, and what I mean by that is, let's say you want to increase your profit for whatever reason. You want more money, you want to hire someone, you want to do whatever, whatever your goal is. A lot of the time, the automatic response, and a lot of people do this, myself included in the past, is you start going, okay, well, I need more profit, so therefore I need more revenue. But in actual fact, the answers often lie within the numbers that you've already got. And what I call this is kind of breaking your goals into gaps. Now, what that means in practical terms is, instead of chasing turnover to increase profits, have a look at where else you might be able to do some savings or some improvements that generate that extra money for you. So I'll give you an example, and I don't want to kind of confuse people with the numbers, but as a kind of high level, if you've got, let's say, if you've got a business that's doing £1 million in revenue at 30% margin with 100 grand in overheads, you're going to be left with roughly 150k after profit after tax.
Okay.
If they wanted to increase that to 250k, and nothing else changed, all the other numbers stay the same, you'd actually need almost £500,000 in revenue to generate that extra 100k.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But an extra, it's an almost 50% increase on your business. That's just going to be more staff, more vehicles, maybe more premises, and you'll end up, almost back where you started from. So if you took that 30% margin I mentioned, and increase that to 40%, you'd actually only need 80 grand in extra revenue instead of £500,000, because you're keeping more of every pound that you've earned.
Yeah.
Now, does that make sense? Because I know it's late in the day, and I don't talk about numbers either.
The whole
point
sense.
is, so the whole point is, instead of going chasing after the revenue, look at where else you can make the savings. Where can you be more efficient? How can you keep more of the money you earn instead of spending it? And quite more often than not, you find that you create very, very small gaps in different areas, make a massive difference on the bottom line. So before you go out and say, okay, we need to chase £500,000 in revenue, have a look at what you could actually do elsewhere to bring that, the revenue requirement down.
Yes. So, obviously, you're talking about maybe saving with your materials, with your vans. You could do savings. You can usually make a saving somewhere you can, and because a lot of people, I'll be honest, they just buy it and they don't look at how much it all costs. Everyone's guilty of that. They are, But
everyone is.
That could be a good tip for people. Thanks, Jason, for popping in from Pest Pest Control. Cheers, mate. But so it's trying to make some savings here and there. It's obviously the most efficient way would be to I'm not. Is that like get all of your costs? Will it cost you to run the business, and like write it down and then work it from there? Would that be the best way for people to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good. I've got what I could probably share with people is that I've got what I call a trigger list. So for all the different gaps that you try to create, there's a whole bunch of things, and this is part of the planning process. And this is what I do with clients is we say, okay, well, let's say you need to shave, or rather increase your margin by, let's say 4%, and you need to reduce your overheads by so much. Yeah. And then we just work through a list of things where you say, okay, well, if you want to increase your margin, you can increase your price. You could look at the waste on site, materials. You could look at what jobs that you do which are low margin. Perhaps you could drop those. You could look at unprofitable customers. You could look at improving, first time fix, so you don't have to keep, callbacks to sites for the same job. Improve cost and accuracy. So there's a whole bunch of things, and how we kind of work through this as part of the planning process is we go, okay, well, this is the target that we're trying to, the gap we're trying to close. We could do one of these 5 things. Let's pick the 3 things we think will give us either the biggest win or the quickest win, the biggest result, or the easiest to implement. And we'll focus on those. And that'll be our, let's say, Q1 project will be to try and close that gap.
Yeah.
And then move on to the next one.
So chop it into stages, basically, little pieces to start with.
Yeah. Break it down so it's so small, it's not a big task. So something I talk about in the book is, it's something that a lot of people do is, okay, we've got this great plan. I'm going to do, Thursday mornings is going to be business plan morning. And some people aren't even this good, but Thursday morning is going to be business plan morning. I'm going to spend 3 hours working on the plan. I'll do that every week. But, usually by Thursday, something happens. Someone rings in sick, or a customer needs emergency call out for something. Yeah. And that Thursday then gets shifted into something else. But if you can break those 3 hours down into, let's say, it'll take you a bit longer, but okay, well, let's do half an hour every day. The first half an hour every day, or 15, 20 minutes, is just doing something on that plan. If you break your task down small enough, you can tick something off before you do anything. You're making very slow but very steady progress towards the goal.
Yeah, I think that's the way. That most of the people like watching this could do it. They could probably do a little bit each day, and eventually work through it. They could. I think, it's like baby steps first. It's it's a learning process, isn't it?
It is. How to do it. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know how to do this type of thing as well. And like I said before, no one's talking to you about it. But if I said, okay, Sean, right, the first task we're going to do is your business plan. We're going to look at your most profitable customers. That's your job for the next 2 weeks. That kind of, if you think, wow, crazy, I don't know where to start with that. But if I said, well, the first thing all you need to do is print a report off your accounting system that shows you how much revenue by customer last year. Yeah. It's a 2-minute job. That's step 1. And then you're on your way then to step 2, which is another very, very simple thing.
If you use digital accounting software, that is. Oh.
I know you mentioned that before.
Because everyone kept telling me, you need to by law, and they said, no, you don't. Not if your accountant delivers it by digital.
Yeah.
You see, that's how we do it. But I am looking at it. It baffles me. It does. But I am looking at it. But the accountant, as long as the accountants deliver it in digital, it's fine. Because it's the law, you'll be done. You won't be. If your accountant delivers it all for you, it's fine.
Yeah, that's true, really. But I suppose, for yourself, it would save you a lot of time with, I don't know how you're working at the moment, writing invoices out and sending them, perhaps, or I don't know. I don't know how you work.
We're going to pay at the door. Card machine in hand.
Well, there you go. So you're almost digital then, aren't you, if your card machine?
Well, I've been card machine for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm very good at getting money off people, you see. You've got to be. You've got to have policies. Because at one point, what we found was when you let people pay at the end, a lot of time they're not in. If you make them pay first visit, they generally make sure they're in for that next visit because they've paid for it.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it.
People say, don't you trust me? It's nothing to do with trust. It's just a company policy.
Yeah.
It says we found that a lot of people, when they push more, it says when they don't pay, they don't. A lot of the time, next time you come, then you're not here. You haven't paid yet. So just a company policy, that's all. But yeah, I am looking at X0. How do you say it?
Zero.
Oh, it's actually called Zero.
Yeah, like the number.
Oh right. But yeah, I have been looking at it. Someone told me it's free if you don't send invoices. Is that right or not? I
don't think so. They have. I could be wrong on that. They have different versions based on different requirements.
Yeah, I'll have to have a play with it and see what it is, because you mentioned it to me. So it is in my plan to do it, because it will be much easier. It is part of the plan. It is to do that because, but we are digital in the sense of reporting. We can send invoices digitally already through a system we use powered now. So sometimes we do it that way as well, especially when it comes to estate agents and people like that. Everyone, you can be shocked now. I actually convinced these estate agents to pay before we go, and they do. So if you're listening, try it. So I got fed up. You're looking at 6 to 8 weeks sometimes.
Yeah.
I can't be doing with it.
It's a lot, isn't it? Because especially when you think in those 6 to 8 weeks.
It is standard practice, but we don't tolerate it anymore. We're like, if you don't want to work with us, then fair enough. But to be fair, a lot of them have still been paying before, which surprised me. It did. Robert Charlton, he says, I pay about $19.50 a month for Zero. That's not too bad then. If it makes your life easier.
Yeah, you'll find it'll save you more time than £20 worth of business owner's time is.
Because obviously I do social media, do everything. I do this podcast, I do all sorts. Yeah. And the minute I'm ramping up the SEO on my website myself, that's not easy. Chat helps me. It does. Yeah. But also, yeah. So there's another bit of advice if you want to make your digital easy. Get Zero. But a lot of people are, because a lot of people don't have accountants, whereas we do. Find it's a little bit easier. It is to pay them, but if anything goes wrong, it's still your fault, not their fault. It is. It's always the same, isn't it? It is. But,
absolutely.
But so, have you got any more nuggets you can give us to help people out?
Yeah, I think so. We talked about the planning bit, and that's really important because, like I say, you need a solid plan. You need to know what it is that you're doing. You need to know where to start. Once you've sorted all that out, though, you need something really that you can measure yourself against, and that's kind of what the second part of the book's about. It's all about getting visibility over your plan and over your performance against the plan. A lot of the reporting, I talk about reports and numbers. People kind of switch off usually, but that's because most of the time you're looking at a wall of numbers that your accountant provides you, and I've done the same in the past. But what I talk about in the book is I've got a format which I can send to people if they're interested, and it's designed so you can spot a problem in 60 seconds and you move on. In the client meetings, we don't spend much time looking at the numbers. We take a look. If there's a problem, we figure it out, and if there's not, we move forward. And it's all about it's all about looking forward and really kind of translating what does that actually mean for your plan. You can have a good month or a bad month, but in isolation, they don't really matter. What really matters is what does the next 6 months look like, and are you going to hit that target, which is going to keep you on track with this 5-year plan that you mentioned a few minutes ago.
Yeah, no, you are right. It's like, because I mentioned that sales forecasting seminar, and that's what he kept mentioning, that you've got your sales forecast. You've got to keep checking it, but you've also got to compare it, say monthly or quarterly or weekly, however you want to do it, and see what your actuals are, whether it's matching your sales forecast. And then if it's not matching it, you need to look at changing the plan, changing that plan if need be, if it's not working. Sales forecasting is just a plan, isn't it? another name for a plan, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, your plan. So, in kind of technical terms, your budget is what you thought you was going to do. You know, when you made it this time last year, your forecast is now what you think is going to actually happen.
Yeah.
And those things, you know, your forecast can, your budget can be out of date within 2 or 3 months as things change and things that happen that, you know, you didn't see coming, or maybe a customer leaves or whatever it may be. But your forecast is, you know, it's an ongoing thing, which, you know, we update every month and say, okay, well, this is where we thought we'd be. We're actually here. This is what it looks like. And we do that every single month and move forward in it.
Yeah.
It gives you a bit more control over the journey, I suppose.
Yeah, it definitely gives you food for thought, because it's a lot of that I never thought about.
Yeah.
But like, because obviously when I did this seminar, I was with other business owners, and they put you in little groups and you talked about it. But we found a lot of it was hard because we all come from different backgrounds. Like, I was sat with somebody that was, you know, in finance, somebody was sells mortgages.
Yeah.
And like they were saying, it's all outside factors. Like, it's all based on your sales forecasting is all based on, because one of the questions was, is a sales forecast predicted, or is it just a good guess? And everyone came up with a different answer. But a lot of people said it's hard to say because it is your best guess of what you want it to be, but outside factors of markets can affect it. But it was really difficult, but because everyone was so different. It's not like I was sat there a load of pest controllers. I wasn't. I'll tell you what, it's one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done. Because although I'm very confident on podcasts and going to pest control shows, etc., I'm used to that. Everyone knows me. I go in a room full of serious business people. I'm not the most sharpest on business. I'm there to learn, but so is everyone else. But they're really nice.
Yeah.
But working with people I'd never, on little tasks I'd never met before, it was, most nerve-wracking thing I've done in a long time. But it helped me learn. It did, in general.
Well, and that's what it's all about. Anything, I suppose, new is kind of nerve-wracking, isn't it? It's, you know, if you've never done that kind of thing before. I think that's what puts a lot of people off doing this kind of thing in their own business, because you hear about it, or, you know, people might be watching or listening now, and you know, you can. I'm talking about it, and it sounds really good, but then you think, no, I don't know where to start with that. I won't bother.
Yeah, I mean, it's some advice to anyone. If I'm not saying there is these groups where it's like a club and you have to pay. I've been invited to a couple of them, but I'm not a fan. I'm not. But if you've got anything in your area, look it up, to do with business support from your local council, and it's free. You can always try it. I ended up getting a business grant out of it. So the first thing he mentioned was start thinking about a new service you could implement, or towards marketing or something, because we've got a business growth grant. And the guy that does the advisor, he knew he'd write the plan with you, but he knew exactly what to say that the council wanted to hear. So he'd make sure the wording was just right.
Right.
So, and then he wasn't exactly telling me, he was saying, just change these couple of words here. That's how they want it to sound. But yeah, it's very helpful. But yeah, I suggest anyone that got anything like that in the area and it's free, give it a go. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. But you'll find generally the people are not snobby, and they're just trying to learn like you are. Because there's a lot of people in there. There was someone in there with quite a bit of revenue per year, a couple of million, and they had never done a sales forecast in their life. So it just shows you, it does, that not everyone's that. They're making good money, but he'd never done one before. But he said, I'll be doing this now. But so it just shows you, not everyone knows everything. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, forecasting is such an essential part of it, because people don't, you know, they look at the numbers and great, okay, you know, even the ones that get numbers, and a lot of people don't. They look at them and go, okay, we didn't do so well, or maybe we did better than we thought, and then they move forward, but they're never really looking forward. Now, I use an analogy which is kind of like, you know, if you think about your business like driving a car, and you're almost spending the whole time kind of looking in the rearview mirror. So you're looking, if you're just relying on reporting, you're looking at, this is what happened, this is what's behind us. But really, what the forecasting bit is more like a sat nav. So you eyes on the destination. You're looking at obstacles. You've got enough time to change course.
Yeah.
And you can see things coming up, and then you can start doing things about it. So if you're talking about a sales forecast, if your biggest customer leaves, or let's say, what was a couple of years ago, wasn't it, when 2024 we had bad weather and wasps didn't get going, and it took a long time, didn't it, before they kind of showed up.
180 wasp nests that year. It was terrible.
And how many do you normally do?
At least 500.
Yeah, so you're down on by about 2/3.
Last year, I think it was 400 or 500. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That's another thing I need to do. I need to count. I do. Yeah.
Well,
count each job. Yeah. I just go say roughly. Yeah. So
if you look at that, like I said, in the rearview mirror, you can maybe sit with your accountant of, it could be even a year later, and they're saying, okay, well, revenue was down because of this. Do you know why? And if you can remember that by that point, you'll tell them. But with a forecast, you say, sorry, go on.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. But with a forecast, you can say, okay, well, actually, by end of May or beginning of June, you can say, well, call outs are down by 70%. That's what we base the budget, 70% on last year. That's what we base the budget on.
Yeah.
If we forecast this out through the rest of the year, we know that August and September, when we're usually busy, is going to be much lower.
Yeah.
So our sales are going to be down. This is what it means for the annual plan. And then you now, as a business owner, Sean, you've got 2 or 3 months to do something to try and recover that revenue in August and September, because you're forecasting and you're seeing what the impacts will be, months ahead of time rather than after the fact.
That's true. Funny enough, when there was a downturn in wasp, moles kicked off massively.
Right.
It did. The winter was very busy with moles. I mean, I've never seen so many moles. I'm joking. Everywhere you drove, there was molehills, sides of roads, all the fields, everywhere. Was it? Sorry, no, it wasn't that year. It was that year. Sorry, it wasn't that year. It was last year. I'm getting confused. There was a big mole year a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Was it last year? Oh, I need to have all this stuff wrote down.
Yeah, but that gives you opportunity then to look. If you've got capacity now because you was planning on wasps, but you're forecasting that you're not going to get them.
Yeah.
Then you can start looking at this. Okay, well, let's say there's moles. Can we start doing a bit more to try and generate this instead, and we can deal with that? Or I think at the same time, bed bugs were exploding all over the place, weren't they? It was, all over 6 months leading up to that, bed bugs have gone through the roof. So, if businesses that can forecast when they're going to lose revenue, can start looking at maybe other opportunities to recover that through other things because they're forecasting.
Yeah, we try not to rely on wasps, obviously, but it is a general revenue booster each year. But obviously, what I'm getting is business growth grant. I'm hoping will push the business forward. It will. Yeah. It's a new service, and there's potentially another 2 services I can bolt on, but it's all trial and error. We'll try the first one first and see what happens. We will. But you're right. You should obviously work out what your seasons are when you're busy and predict for what you think's going to happen. And that's what I'm going to start doing. I'll be honest, with bed bugs, we hardly get any work. Insects-wise, vast majority of ours is wasps, rats, mice, squirrels, to be honest. It is. We do fleas, etc., but we just don't get a lot like other people do.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's because we charge too much. I don't know, or we don't charge enough. I don't know, really. But we do more we do more with rats, mice, moles as well. We do quite a bit with that. So I'm going to start to look at predicting what I think we're going to get. But then because he also mentioned in the sales forecasting, if you've got your historic data, you can look back on them periods within the year, and you can usually give it a good guess at what period you're going to get. Say, because I said, obviously there was people that sold products there, etc. Whereas, say you've got a service, what period you're going to get more of this, and then that, and then you can use your historical data. You can to work alongside it.
Yeah, it's very it's really good pest control for this kind of approach as well, because like you just said, you've got your seasonal stuff through the winter, then that kind of drops off, and then the other summer stuff picks up, and it all kind of follows a similar pattern, apart from when the weather's terrible and things don't develop. But it's usually very, you can forecast very, very easily. Your recurring revenue from your contracts and what you're growing by or what you're losing by, so that's very easy to see. And also, your seasonal demand for different things as well. So it should be, it's quite. I'm not going to say an easy task if you don't know what you're doing, but it's easier than you would think to forecast this kind of stuff out and get an idea of where you're going to end up.
Well, when I did that sales forecast, he was going seriously deep. I mean, I think he was talking about people that do products as well. Like, you should market research, see if any wars are going on, stuff like that. Tariffs and the amount of stuff that were coming up. It's all important to a product's business. And it was that much data. They basically as much data as you can get to do your sales forecast is what he said, because there are companies coming from all kinds of different angles. Some of them have to keep an eye on their competitors to make sure that they stay ahead of the game with their products, because other people, if you stand still, other companies will go past you with products they were.
Yeah, you got to try and factor in as much within reason. I mean, you can keep digging, but there becomes a point when you kind of a bit overkill. But I mean, I've had jobs in the past where we even monitored the weather, because it was working. It wasn't pest control; it was a different industry. But we knew that when it was sunny, people would go out and start. They'd be sat in pubs spending money, and if it rained, they'd be doing things in. They go to the cinema or stuff. Indoor stuff. So we could actually forecast what revenue we expected to collect in based on what the weather was going to be like in a week's time.
And to be fair, I mean, in certain periods that would factor into a forecast of pest control, because it can happen where you have a massive boom. I can't remember what year it was. A massive boom in wasp nests, because the heat is too high. A lot of the nests can burn out and die by themselves, so you've got less nests. Or say it rains all summer. Although they like rain, wasp nests, people notice wasp nests when they're out enjoying their garden. They do. They won't go out there if it's raining. So you'll probably get them wasp nests, but later in the year when they're nearly coming into the person's house, they will. So that would affect the pest control as well. That would, to an extent. It would. So it's all included. So have you got any other tips at all, or?
I've got a book full of them, Sean. And
you mentioned the book. Mention your book, because I'm going to put a link in all the descriptions for you, because you've got a sign up link or something to show it off.
Yeah, at the minute. So I've got. So the book itself is, I don't know what you would call it, pre-production. So it arrived last week. It's a pretty meaty book, actually. I've not.
It is actually.
I didn't even plan to write this.
Tell everyone how it started out.
So it started off as the reporting that I mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah.
Kind of spot problems quick. I put that into a client's business, and I could tell that they didn't quite understand how to use it to start conversations. So I said, well, don't worry, what I'll do, I'll fill it out with some guidance and show you this is how to use it, and this is what this means and why it's important. And that day like that was fine. So then I turned it into a lead magnet. I thought, well, I could send this to other people and say, this is what I'm doing. If you don't get this, do you want to have a conversation about it?
Yeah.
And then, so I sent that out a few times, and then I tagged in a couple of newsletters because people asked certain questions. I said, I've got a newsletter about that. I'll put that in as well. Yeah. And then I kind of realized it evolved into this thing, which kind of, it looked like it'd been cobbled together thrown together by an amateur, which is exactly what it was. So I kind of decided, I thought, well, I'll rewrite it properly and make it make sense. And that's when I started doing a bit of research and saw that there wasn't really anything like this for pest control businesses, and kind of, I suppose saw a gap that needed filling, and thought, well, I've got a lot of experience to share, and there's a gap for it. So I guess it looks like I'm writing a book. I better tell my wife I'm off the radar for the next 4 weeks. I'll go write this thing that I didn't intend to write.
Well, to be fair, I mean, it fits in, because they do say that, this is saying it in sales, that if you write a book, you'll be known as an expert in your field. So you apparently it helps towards authority online and searches and AI and everything, apparently. But it's like it's always this thing. If you write a book, you'll be known as more of an expert. But I read your PDF to start with, didn't I? And then you were like, put that on hold, Sean. It's going to be a book. You're like,
well, that's what, because I sent it. I think you were one of the people I sent it out to as well. And I don't know, 30 or 40 people. I just kind of sent it. Have a look at this. What do you think? And yeah, it was because people came back and said, okay, well, this is great, but I'm selling the business. What can you tell me about this? So I said, I've got a newsletter, so I'll tag that in and resend it.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of ended up evolving into this thing that didn't really make sense, and it's kind of all over the place. So so I sat down, I thought, I better rewrite it. If I'm going to do it, I better do it properly.
Yeah.
And that's what it's turned into now. So it's almost ready to go as well. It's only a couple of small changes that need to be made to this, and it'll be online. So there's a waiting list at the minute. If people want to join that, I'll send them the first chapter.
And I'll drop the link in the description as well. How much will the book be?
Not a lot. It's probably 15 quid. I'm not doing it really to make money off it. It was an experience for me, and like I said, I've got experience to share. So it's not going to be expensive.
Okay. So is it self-publishing or somebody publishing it for you?
No, it's a self-published one. So it's done through Amazon.
Okay.
And probably some other websites as well. But it's entirely self-written, self-published. I did have hired someone to just have a look at it, because I'm not a writer, but I hired someone to have a look at it. I didn't really like what they were doing, so that didn't last long.
Okay.
And just kind of did it myself.
Well, they probably, I don't know. Were they trying to change your book, basically, the way you didn't want it?
Well, they were just messing about with it, just reformatting this, that, and the other, and putting things. No, what I should have done really is, if you're going to do this kind of thing, you probably need someone who knows about finance for business, and I just hired a freelancer that I saw on LinkedIn and said, okay, well, this looks good. We'll have a look at this. And they were just putting things in the wrong order. And so I was like, well, no, the annual process is this. We do this, then we do this, then we do this. It's got to kind of follow in that order. And in the end, I just said, no, I'll do it myself.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. If that's the way you want it the way you want, because that's your process to teach people.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have read it, and it was obviously I give you a blurb in the book, but I still need to read it a few more times. I do keep having a look at it. I do. It's to get stick in the brain, you see.
Yeah. Well, I think most people will really do. It's not something you're going to ever read cover to cover. But what I kind of say in the front of it is, if you start, read the introduction, get what it's about, read the contents page, and look where, skim through the different sections, and then go back to the bit where which makes most sense to you at this time. So if you've got a decent plan but you don't know how to report on it, start with the reporting bit. If you're not sure on how to build the plan, do that bit first. If you're looking at selling your business in the next few years, go to that, go straight to that bit and see what you can learn from that instead.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right there. I might purchase a physical copy too, because I could look, my name's in this book. I'm actually in a book.
Well, there you go. I might send you one then, Sean. I'll send it you for once it's published.
I'll buy one, mate. You're all right. Don't worry. I will. I'll buy one. You're self-published. You know what I am. It's fine. I will purchase one. I will. I could go. I'm in a book. I never know. I might make a book one day. You never know. I definitely would need help writing that.
Yeah, it was a good experience, but it's like I said, I'll probably never do it again. I didn't intend to do it in the first place. I'm quite proud of it.
No, it's something to be proud of. It is. I mean, you're going to be the New York best times seller.
I don't know about that. I mentioned it to my wife the other day. She said, "Oh, we've got to have a launch party." I said, "No, we're all right." And the excuse to have a party in our house, but
I see. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I think it would do well. I hope people will look at it. I know there was quite a few people that messaged me when they found out it was a more business focused podcast is what people have been asking for. So it says I've done my best. I've got the man in, and see what you think. But I'm pretty sure it will help people. It will, and people can buy the book Obviously, it's pre-order currently. You can read the first chapter first in the link.
If you go to the web, so the website pestcontrolbynumbers.co.uk, there's a waiting list that you can join, and I'll send you the first bit straight away, and then I'll let you know when it's actually gone live. Also, what I'll probably do, or what I will do, is the various tools and things that I've mentioned in the book. Things like customer profitability and all this kind of, how to assess different things so you understand your business a bit better. I'll start building these little tools out as well and start sending them to people as and when, after the book comes out, and as and when I build them. So hopefully people should get a bit more value off that if they get the name on the list.
Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. So obviously, to get your name on the list, does it cost, or do you just send a link out once you can buy it? Or
I'll just send the link out. Get yourself on the waiting list. I'll send you the first chapter. I'll let you know when it's ready, and then you can go on Amazon and buy it if people are interested.
So how does that work? Do they just print based off what numbers come in?
Pretty much.
Pre-order. They base off the pre-orders, do they?
It's a print to order. So there'll never be any inventory of it. It will be, if someone goes on, and that's why you don't make a lot of money from it because the printing costs are so high.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really the point anyway. But if I went off and printed 1,000, I could probably make some money off it. But just people want to buy it, they buy it, and they'll get printed and sent to them straight away.
Well, could always a book selling in at Pest Tech this year.
Yeah, there's an idea. I can't see many people queuing up for that though, but I'll bear that in mind.
But that was a joke. But you could. Have you ever been to Pest Tech before?
No, I've not.
It's good. It's good as a visitor. I was really busy last year helping.
Yeah.
The day went like a blur because I was helping. I had a walkie-talkie on. I felt well important. I did.
Oh, yeah. That might get down.
But yeah, it's been good to have you on. I'll just say the code, everyone. If you want the 1 point on the British Pest Register, go to the CPD training section, and it will present you with once I finish the podcast, give me a chance. It will present you with 3 or 4 numbers. If you pick 4040, you'll get your points allocated to you. I believe it's automatic. You'll get them straight away. That'll be 1 point. 1 point towards your yearly CPD allowance, or however many you get. But yes, type that in, and that will get you 1 point. That will. The Pest Perspectives. It will. And I will drop the link in the description once I've got the link after the show. And all the links will be on the podcast feeds. So I'll update them all. So if anyone wants to look at it, and you're watching the podcast or YouTube or Facebook, in Facebook, I have to put it in the comment section. I will. But it will be there. So just look out for it. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Dan.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Sean.
Yeah, no worries. If you stick around for a minute, I'll just say, stick around for a minute. I'll just end the stream. But thanks everyone, and I can tell you who's on next week. Let's have a look. So next week we have Jim from Protex in London. So yeah, he does a lot of jobs that are very high up, where you need the climbing equipment. This company does a lot of jobs where you have to be high, and job I would never work for him.
Yeah,
I'm not good with that heights. I'm not. But yeah, thanks Dan, and thanks Jason and everyone for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you next week. Thank you.